You know what's common between Marvel and its fans? Their theory game. While Marvel has What If, where they just kept shooting the most random theories out at fans, its fans have the entire internet, where you'll find either the craziest or the most on-point predictions to ever exist. No, really, don't just take our word for it. We have proof with these 10 craziest theories from fans and Marvel that actually happened in the comics and films. Starting at number 10 with this surprise Peter Parker appearance. What? Who's this kid? Wait, is it Spider-Man? Yes it is, guys. Yes it is. And we all thought fans were crazy when they said this kid was Peter Parker. Long before Spider-Man even existed in the MCU, fans had already spent hours talking about how this kid was one of the future heroes in the universe. Of course, everyone thought they were crazy because who'd have thought of such an amazing lineup almost a decade into the future? Apparently Feige did, and Tom confirmed it because, as it happens, this kid Iron Man saves from a hammer drone in Iron Man 2 is Peter Parker. Next on number 9, this Asgardian theory from the MCU. So there's always been this theory that the person they love becomes stronger whenever an Asgardian dies. Now, we may not have solid spoken proof, but we've got films that have gone to lengths on making it true. First, we have Thor, The Dark World, where Loki became strong enough to cast a solid projection of himself later when Frigga died. And when Odin dies, Thor becomes strong enough to defeat Hela. There's also this theory that Loki sacrificed himself in Infinity War so Thor could become strong enough to defeat Thanos, which is why he could withstand the neutron star blast as well. Moving on to number 8. What if Jane Foster had found Thor's hammer? What if indeed? In the original comics, Volume 1, Number 10, Jane Foster finds Mjolnir and becomes Thordis, the female version of the hero. After Endgame, when the Avengers were ready to hang up their capes, fans started speculating how this is a matchup that's yet to happen and probably will. Behold, Thor, Love and Thunder brought us Foster's version of Thor, even if for a short period. In the comics, Jane even promoted to become a goddess. And while that didn't happen in the film, she was promoted to elite level Valhalla after she died, which is a goddess level promotion anyway, so that came true as well. Now on number 7, Punisher's family's fate in the comics. The Punisher's fate as a family man has never worked out for him, because in the What If comics, where his family's saved by not walking in on a mob hit, they die instead when Castle tries to act as a whistleblower and his family's gunned down. And while that isn't the original fate of his family in the comics, the TV show still picked up on it since they obviously couldn't send modern-day Frank to Vietnam. So they used the What If story instead, giving us the epic show where the Punisher is obsessed with gunning down the corrupt cops whose actions led to his family's death. Coming up on number 6, Peggy Carter's fate on Earth 838. Remember in the What If series that suggested a universe where Peggy Carter would have received the super serum instead of Steve Rogers. While the show may have ended a while ago, fans never stopped talking about the concept, even going so far as to say that this may be a future we'll be seeing for Captain America. Well, not us. 616 is still devoid of its Cap'n, but this came true with Earth 838's existence in the Multiverse of Madness, where the Illuminati fights Wanda, and when Peggy even manages to utter an "I can do this all day" line between the fight. On number 5, what if Red Skull lived in MCU? And live he did, only as a keeper of the Soul Stone. But fans knew that long before Endgame showed us. Honestly, at this point, we should just nod our heads along with the fans when they make an absurd movie suggestion, because this isn't the first time their theory has come true. Only we always scoffed when they said Red Skull would be alive. Lucky for them, we were wrong, and they were right because Captain America's iconic villain did make a comeback to reveal how he was cast out all those years ago by the Tesseract, and how he was cursed to guard the Soul Stone and guide people towards it instead. On number 4, Venom being the lethal protector in the comics. You can't deny Venom's popularity in the Marvel Universe. In fact, we'd go as far as to say that he really hasn't been given due credit in the movies yet. But in the comics, he spent a good number of years being the lethal protector, using justice as an excuse to wreak havoc in the world. But it wasn't the first time Marvel was testing out this concept, because back in the day, in 2 What If issues, this theory was teased already. The first is from What If Volumes 2, number 31 from 1991, where the question is, what if Spider-Man kept his cosmic powers? Spider-Man becomes far more powerful in the story and sends Eddie to a humiliating defeat, leading him to give up his thirst for revenge. Then Spider-Man asks him to take up his role as the neighborhood crime fighter, which he does. Next, we have What If Volume 2, number 44 from 1992, where Frank Castle is possessed by the symbiote instead and becomes even more violent before taming himself and using his venom powers to punish the wicked. Here on number 3 is Avengers vs. X-Men in the films. Now, the MCU may have its roots set in stone, or stones, but people have always missed the other important heroes in the universe, including the original heroes we grew up watching, the X-Men. You can also add the Fantastic Four here for reference, because even they've been missing the action all this time. And while many people have theorized a lot of entries for each of these groups, the beginning of the multiverse saga is where rumors started picking up that either one of these troops is going to show up and floor us with a nail-biting battle. And what do you know? MOM really did give them to us. Not only Reed Richards, but also Professor X. Wanda may have ended them for good, but hey, we have an F4 movie coming up pretty soon. And not to mention Wolverine 2 as part of Deadpool 3. Is MCU really a wish-granting machine or what? Also on number 2, Wanda's Avengers vision that came true. Remember Avengers 2? That was a whole different time when Wanda was a completely different type of crazy. But even then, she made a prediction that sent all fans into a frenzy. Yes, we're talking about her vision where she shows the Avengers a future where they're all destroyed, and Tony Stark's being told, "You could have saved us." Well, guess what? Not only did the vision come true almost half a decade later, but it also set up a future for our Avengers, where they fought for their lives, and Tony Stark actually did save them all. Even Thor finds himself in the ruins of Asgard, where Heimdall tells him that the end is upon them. That one came true in the very next Thor Ragnarok, where Asgard is completely destroyed after the battle with Hela. Also, we see Captain America travel back to the past and finally make it to that dance with Peggy Carter. Now that may have broken our hearts then, but it was nothing compared to realizing our favorite superhero was actually gone for good when he danced his final dance with Peggy after Endgame. Yes, the fans telling us these theories were going to come true were correct after all. Finally on number 1, Stan Lee as a Watcher in the MCU. In Marvel, the Watchers are a group of godlike creatures who keep an eye on the comings and goings of the universe. But to do that, they need informants who help them keep track of existence in general. Well, if you're going to ask what Stan Lee has got to do with it, let us tell you that for ages, fans thought he was either a Watcher himself or their informant who relays universe info to them from time to time. This is why he's always around when superpowered folks are rambling about in their neighborhoods. The fact that Lee's made a cameo in about 37 films, there's a lot to consider as to why he's just there in the background in all the movies. Well, the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 proved it after Stan made his longest appearance yet in the movie, bringing fans the final satisfaction of knowing they were correct and that he's actually a Watcher who was keeping tabs on the universe. No wonder he knew everything and everyone mucking about around him. He was collecting information to share with his alien counterparts after all. That's a wrap for this video. Which was the craziest fan theory for you that came true in the comics or the MCU? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.